Mercifully, that occasion is behind us. I spent 90 minutes of my life contemplating whether I should stab my own eyeballs out. It would have been more entertaining watching paint dry at a spectacular 24/7 services kitchen renovation. They are the presenting sponsors of this little review. Villa 2, Maccabi Tel Aviv 0. Welcome inside the parlor, and when the best thing about a football match is the final whistle, you know it was probably a little bit dire, not to mention odd. And listen, I'm a grateful guy, usually very even-keeled. I'm just happy to watch my beloved Aston Villa on a horrible stormy Thursday here in Canada. But is it too much to ask? Am I being entitled or greedy to expect a little bit more entertainment value from my football club? Because I'm nervous about the sense of apathy that I'm getting, even from all the way over here. Apathy is not something you want when you need to generate more interest and commercial revenue. Given the circumstances surrounding this game, and that kept several people away and made some of those attending nervous about going in the first place, would it have killed Villa in that second half leading 2-0 to at least show some initiative? To go and try and get a third and maybe improve our Europa League goal difference against a team that is valued on paper less than go-ahead Eagles? Could we give the impression that we wanted to cross the halfway line late in that game? Instead, it turned out to be a glorified training keep-away game.
On paper, I think should be a win, but looking at the last game away, go-ahead, we made a bit of a mess of that, so hopefully we'll put it right tonight. Expecting a win, different team as well. But European nights, yeah, love them up, Villa.
Alex Dutton, guitar hero with Atarka, and Samir Gaby were at Villa Park gathering footage for the show on a very odd day. Bless them both. And I guess when you dominate the statistics, you win the game and you get a clean sheet while also giving meaningful minutes to some of the outliers in the squad. We should all be satisfied, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? Because stylistically, we are so far away from the team 2 years ago that featured Moussa Diaby and a prime Leon Bailey. Heck, we're so far away from a team last year that featured Marco Asensio and Marcus Rashford. Sometimes I actually wonder if losing with electricity is better than winning boring.
Probably 2 or 3-0, I think. We've got to get a great start. There's going to be no, obviously, away fans here.
Yep,
so
that's right.
The atmosphere is probably going to be a bit subdued, but I think we will come out on top tonight.
The mascot of the match award goes to this cheeky chappy. It's not every day you get beamed across the globe on live television. You might as well milk it for all it's worth. By the way, the mascot had better first half stats than Morgan Rogers. Well, not actually. And it's funny how sometimes Rogers can be off and then he provides an unbelievable assist for the first goal.
Hi, I'm Stephen. I'm from Devon, and you're watching the Holy Trinity show. Up the Villa.
Big issue number 3, exemplary 8, as in number 8. We went 10 games without Yuri Tielemans, and we muddled along during that stretch and did okay. But in just 21 minutes on Thursday night, we were reminded of what we were missing in the middle of the park. He completed all but 1 of 23 passes. He split the press, he was utterly sublime, and he created one big chance, the over-the-top ball to Daniel Malen. This happened not even 40 seconds after coming on, and I realize Maccabi Tel Aviv was gassed at that stage, trailing 2-0, chasing the game. Villa was playing keep away, but there is an elegance to Yuri Tielemans. And you know what? He played over 50 games last season. Sometimes even an injury break is a necessary refresher. The big question now, of course, is how soon, how much, and who, as in who makes way between Kamara and Onana to allow Tielemans back into his starting role. And obviously it is Onana, even though Amadou has asserted himself quite well over these past few weeks. It does mean that Lamar Bogart is pushed a little further down the line, as is Ross Barkley. I suppose that's a good problem to have for now. On a somewhat related matter, I'm not sure if you've watched Roberto Alabe's first one-on-one interview on Villa TV, but It is abundantly clear this is not a short-term hire or somebody who's just responsible for the transfer windows. This is a deeply philosophical human being. And he said his immediate priority is to focus on the people we have, team and staff. And I really hope that one of the issues that he explores is figuring out why so many Villa players have suffered long-term soft tissue injuries over the last couple of seasons. Tielemans was out for 10 weeks. Now Tyrone Mings is gone until the new year. And if we are to compete across all competitions, we absolutely must get the most out of all of our players. And the medical staff plays a huge role in that. Are we missing something in the prehab or the recovery sessions that's falling through the cracks somehow? Because it feels like we've had an unusually high amount of these kinds of injuries. Similar to Tielemans, what a relief seeing Emi Buendia back out on the park so quickly, because it didn't look good after Man City, seeing him in a boot and with crutches. And I wonder if Thursday was sort of testing pain tolerance a little bit. And then John McGinn, fresh from his contract extension, making his 300th senior appearance with Aston Villa, which puts him in a company with only 35 other players. Surely McGinn is closing in on statue worthiness. I'm always so grateful when Holy Trinity Show viewers share their before and after photos or videos of a project that was completed by this show's title sponsor, 24/7 Services. Like, for example, one of my earliest and most loyal viewers, James Byrne, who I think was their first referral from this show. And James completely transformed a downstairs space that I don't even think was being used. It was just a basement, and 24/7 Services came in there, and now this is where James and his mates watch the Villa when they're away and where he watches the Holy Trinity Show, and the details are everything. And you want a company that is fussy about details when they're coming into your home and doing your kitchen, bathroom, or man cave. And I look very much forward to featuring your project once it's done on this show.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm from Roaster. I watch the Holy Trinity Show. Up the Villa.
Big issue number 2, monstrous Martinez. Marco Bizot started in 2 Europa League outings and was excellent in both, conceding in neither. Emi Martinez was coming off a game where he could be considered the scapegoat after the unfortunate mishap with the stray pass. And with those 2 glaring issues staring Unai Emery straight in the face, he decided to stay loyal to a player who was halfway out the door 2.5 months ago. On one hand, you would think that games like this are not necessarily stressful when you look at it on paper, knowing that the home team is probably going to have the majority of the ball. But then again, you have long stretches as a goalkeeper where you have to stay mentally connected to the game. And lo and behold, the visitors conjured up 2 huge chances virtually out of nothing that Martinez had to deal with. The first one in minute 39, that's right, minute 39, 6 minutes before halftime, came out of such shockingly simple circumstances, and Dibu gets down to save Villa's blushes, because imagine going behind there and what happens? Exactly 5 minutes later, Villa takes the lead. And then 10 minutes into the second half, he makes an even better save with Villa up 1-0. I would argue that this was the best build-up move of the game. So simple, so open. I'm thinking, how could this possibly even happen? And now we've squandered all those chances in the first half and all that possession. It felt like Martinez read where that shot was going even before the shooter knew, because he got such a jump on it with such little time and such little distance. Imagine that goes in, it's 1-1. The stadium is now irritated. Instead, as so often is the case in sports, what happens? A few moments later, Villa earns a penalty. Did Unai Emery select Emi Martinez to give him a shot at redemption in the wake of Liverpool? Or was it just a matter of trusting his overall body of work more, or maybe helping to alleviate any potential lingering tensions from the summer? Doesn't matter. It was the right choice in the end. And also timely was Lionel Scaloni, Argentina manager, deciding not to select Martinez for the upcoming international break, opting to give his goalkeeper rest with really no meaningful games to play.
Hi Pete, my name's Graham Biggs. Travelled up from Swindon tonight to watch the Villa, and I watched the Holy Trinity week after week. Good job, up the Villa.
And the number 1 big issue that defined Villa 2, Maccabi Tel Aviv 0, double Dutch delight. Nobody would have batted an eye when they saw the team sheet and recognized the 5 changes from Liverpool. That included our 3 Dutchmen, Bogard, Matson, and the Don. And all 3 of those players, I think, are worthy of starting any game for us right now, and that's a very good sign. But in retrospect, imagine had those players not been included, particularly Matson and Malen, and might the game have turned out differently?
Number 22, Ian Matson.
On the stroke of halftime, Ian Matson defies geometry by breaking in and scoring from a virtually impossible angle about 1.5 yards off the byline and relatively close to the goalkeeper, picking out the only opening in the entire goal. And you have to categorize this in the phenomenal file, because as usual, Ian Matson is going full throttle at the time. Now, despite a very inconsistent first half, Morgan Rogers' recognition of the run and then the timing and the weight of the pass sets up the goal. As a goalkeeper, you are conditioned your entire life to protect the front post. And that's probably why he didn't expect what was coming from Matson. Neither did I. Probably neither did anybody. Maybe even Matson didn't know. He just gets into that angle, and he does brilliantly well. I mean, the way the shot goes off the underside of the bar, kissing it ever so gently, before nestling neatly into the netting, it was aesthetically as pleasing as it was hugely significant, given the quality of it and the timing of it. 12 minutes into the second half, and Villa is awarded a penalty, and the match referee felt like he was making that initial decision in installments. But Julian Weinbergen, the Austrian referee, I think was very shrewd in delaying that first thought and having a quick little conference with his assistant, who was also very close to the incident, before making the decision. I mean, the VAR check was very short, but you have to look really hard to see how even the slightest bit of contact did trip up Ezri Konsa. Had our Austrian referee initially decided it was no penalty, would VAR have overturned it? Because the clear and obvious threshold is not always, well, clear and obvious. The next question, of course, who would take it? And the Don was cold as ice from 12 yards out. Even guessing the right way, the goalkeeper was never catching up to a shot with that kind of power and accuracy. Have we found our reliable penalty taker? I guess that depends on whether Malen is on the field at the time or not. Malen was denied a second after that magnificent over-the-top ball by Tielemans, and this was quite a spectacular save. I mean, without that hand shooting out, it's another Don across goal into the side netting special. Daniel Malen is clicking along very nicely now, thank you very much. Hopefully one day Yvan Gaisson will be allowed to leave the right touchline, where he is tasked with occupying the left fullback, and it seems like nothing else. Maybe one day Jadon Sancho will provide some kind of bottom line. And I refuse to believe that even Harvey Elliott, who is now growing moss in his Jerry curls, will not be involved before this season is over, maybe even before the year is over.
Hiya, Steve Richards, Lower Gornal. You're watching the Holy Trinity Show. Up the Villa.
Now for the cherries in what I consider to be a huge early season clash in match week 11. A battle of 2 highly regarded Basque managers, and I don't want to jinx it, but Unai Emery has never lost to Andoni Iraola or Bournemouth in the Premier League. And our visitors on Sunday looked like a lot of visiting teams at the Etihad in their last game out, losing 3-1 to Manchester City. But it has still been an excellent start, maybe even a little bit surprising to their season. And with a win, they could be all the way up to second in the table by Monday. A Villa win, however, would put them level on points with Sunday's adversaries. Villa's 1-0 win at the Vitality late last season was one of the statement wins of the season for me, and you know that heading into the international break, Unai Emery and his team will be desperate to keep their home form solid, and let's hope they could just provide a few more goals now and again. Until then, stay warm and dry, cheers, and of course, up the mighty Villa.